computer. And okay, we've got that going like we would normally do.
So Chowdy,
And
I have the phone number if you want it.
Okay, yes.
So it's called The Coconut.
It's
And
what?
it's called The Coconut. So if you're going to search for it online, it's The Coconut. Thecoconut.net is the email address, but their phone number is 541
Mm-hmm.
505 9181.
Okay, sounds good.
Mhm.
I think it'd be good to call ahead if it's a small place. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
you're welcome. Thank you, Scott.
Mhm.
So, do we have any questions from anybody who's just tuned in, or you have a question if you tuned in at any time, whether it's just now or before?
I just wanted to say hello and I'm back.
Hello, Velvet.
Yeah. Hi, Velvet.
Nice to see you back.
Thank you. Thank you.
And congrats, you finished what, a year or two?
I've been doing it for a while, but yes, it's considered I think it's 2 years really because I got an associate's.
Well, good for you.
Thank you.
It's not easy to be going to school and raising the kids and doing all those things.
Thank you. Well, I've missed all of you, so I'm glad to be back.
Great. Nice to have you.
I have a question. What's
Yes.
what's a GPA for medical doctor to an entrance?
For an entrance,
Yeah, what does it stand for, the GPA?
grade point average, GPA,
Grant
grade point average.
average. Okay, now I got it.
And when I interview students, when I've done that in the past, I don't interview them for their grade point average. I interview them for their humanism and how they relate to the world and
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So
It's important.
traditionally, schools have used grade point average to separate out the applicants, but it's really not a very good test of whether someone is a good doctor.
Theoretical doctors instead of human doctors.
Yeah, we're looking for more human doctors.
Yes, definitely.
Edward, let's hear what you have to say. You got your hand up? Or is Eureka there? I don't see Eureka in the field here.
She's at home.
Okay.
I had this question burning on my mind the other day. So when you get sick, people always say, ginger ale.
Hold on one second. I need to mute the room a second or look at, because it's a little noisy. Okay, it stopped being noisy. So, okay, go ahead, Edward.
So when you're sick or feeling under the weather, classic go-to is like some soda, like ginger ale and chicken soup.
Yeah.
What's the plant-based whole food version of that?
Of ginger ale and chicken soup. That's an excellent question, actually. I've never been asked that. And I have not had any chicken soup for 11 years since I transitioned. And I actually haven't had any 7-Up or ginger ale during that time. I've been healthy, haven't needed it. So if you don't want to be sick, do whole food plant-based and you won't have to worry about the food you need when you're sick. But Scott, do you have a better answer than that?
Well, someone put in the chat, you can do like a chickpea soup, but I would say just like a vegetable potato soup. It's kind of the same. You're getting the vegetable broth and you're getting the veggies for the antioxidants, and it's still warm and soothing, and you don't need the chicken part in there. Just all the veggies and some potatoes, maybe some beans, well cooked beans.
Oh, herbal teas too, someone said.
Yeah.
All right.
Herbal teas, there is, I believe, isn't it ginger that is kind of anti-nausea?
Right.
So, you know, if you're gonna do 7-Up or ginger, you could do ginger tea or whatever. Yeah? Okay, that's good.
I know a lot of people like crave like the chicken noodle soup when they're sick because it's something like, we're just used to. That's what we have when we're sick. But there's a recipe chickpea noodle soup in the Plant You cookbook that's really good and very similar to chicken noodle soup. It's just chickpea.
I got the speaker better, but it's still on the phone. I don't know how to get it onto the TV. And now it went quiet. I don't know.
So let me see who I can help mute here. I guess
So,
it's the iPhone. Okay, that better? The wonders of technology, you know, sometimes can be a little noisy, but we can figure out how to get the room calm again. Anybody have the Calm app on their phone? Calm is something that my wife downloaded a long time ago. She uses it for meditation, and it's pretty cool. Every day she can listen to a short video, either before going to bed or in the morning when she gets up. She's even got me hooked on doing it occasionally with her in the morning. The videos are 5 to 7 minutes at a time, and she usually listens to 2 of them. And I actually feel pretty calm after listening to them. So it's got a good name. It's called Calm. I think it's $65 for the year or something like that. But for those people who are feeling stressed out and need a little calm in their life, give it some thought. Check it out. I sound like an advertisement for something, but that's just the way it goes sometimes.
I don't think we asked if there was any new people tonight yet that wanted to introduce themselves. You can unmute down the bottom left corner if you want to unmute and introduce yourself if you're new to the classes, and tell us where you heard about them.
There's one, it's Kalyani Kennedy. Tell us about yourself. I'm thrilled to see you here.
Oh yeah. So I'm a first-year medical student in the Lebanon campus. I'm interested in lifestyle medicine, and I kind of spoke with Dr. Ross a little bit ago about additional videos and kind of these classes, and I've been looking at the website. It's been really, really interesting, and I'm here to learn.
Well, we are so thrilled to have you. The people in the room, if they might want to share a story or two about some of the doctor visits they've had, but we hear stories of how we wish the doctors had some education in this. And we're thrilled that you have taken on an interest in learning more about this. It'll go a long way to helping your patients in the future. You'll be a much happier doctor. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting these.
We have fun. So we do definitely have fun. And Scott Wagman, if you see on the screen here, which you do, he has been instrumental in keeping up the website, and he's been pushing me along to keep going. Let's do another class week after week. This is what we're going to do. And we have managed now, this is going on over 3 years on Zoom? And it was a couple of years before that. So every single week, we have been doing this for over 3 years. He still needs to work for a living. I don't. So I'm just still having fun. But he's gaining inspiration from people like yourself who are attending these classes. Anyone else have a thought? Anything they'd like to share with anybody who's new as to why you're coming to the classes, or whether they're really worth coming to, or whether you'd rather be doing something else with your life? Just curious. Okay, Anne, would love to hear from you.
Hi, I came here a long time ago and it's because it's 10 o'clock at night in Michigan where I live. So, you know, if things are going on, it's kind of hard to do. I just got back from doing a walk tonight. Hey, I'm trying. And, but I'm not sure. I think I saw someone, because through Chef AJ and some of the other people too, I saw someone be interviewed by someone. There's a lot of people when you go down, when you start doing this. And when 2020 hit, I wasn't doing this. In fact, I did get an Instapot, but I was making all kinds of stuff and it wasn't healthy stuff. And the doctor wanted to put me on medicine, and I went researching, and there were some other people that were ill too in the family, and I started doing a whole lot of research. And through the researching, if you look, it's there. A lot of people are there, and so I found out that there were a lot of people interviewing a lot of the same people, and somehow I came across this through an interview someone did. And so which one of you is it? Scott, are you the pediatrician? Which one is
No,
it?
I'm the physician associate. Dr. Eric Colgrove is the pediatrician.
I think it was through something he was talking about, and it had to do with milk and stuff like that I clicked on it somehow, and that's kind of how I kind of went, oh, you know, and then I saw what you were about, and then, you know, the whole thing is we're all here to learn, you know, and of course we would like to share more of this with more people. They don't always like to hear what we have to say, you know, and you know, there's just a lot of people in the family, and you care about them and you wish them well, you know, and right now I'm married. I have a husband. We're gonna be celebrating 50 years in a couple of years here. And we're doing okay now. We've had our times in that, but I said to the doctor, I said, you know, what can I do? I don't want to go on this medicine, you know. And so I was on it for a little while, and he said, you remember you brought that book in one time before? You could try, maybe, you know, you seem to think that you could do something with that. Well, it was Dr. Furman.
Mm-hmm.
And I had seen him on a PBS thing, and that was way long before any of this, and I just didn't really get into it that way. But this time it did, and this time I found more people, and I had time. I retired, so I was home. I had more time to spend researching what was going on, and I wasn't feeling good, so here I am today, you know, 65 pounds later, and yeah, often no medicine, which is really weird when you're talking about doctors. I just went in to see him, and they changed my appointment, and I went in and all that, and my blood pressure was upset. So what does he say to me? So when did you decide to take yourself off that blood pressure medicine? And I looked at him and I said, he's looking at his computer, and I looked at him and I said, you took me off that medicine. You weaned me off the medicine. He didn't say a word, but you know, yeah, there's not a whole lot of people, so I'm not sure. Is it Kaylani? Is that how you say it?
Oh, yes, Kalyani.
Kalyani, thank you. Thank you for going and trusting that this is the way that medicine should be. There just aren't many people here in Michigan that, in my town anyway, that know what's going on. But I took him all my stuff. Took copies, and I showed him books, a lot of different books and things. And, you know, there's no getting around it. There's proof out there. It shows this is the way to go, you know. And as I watch people who are sick and ill, and I mean, you know, you can't tell them my brother takes blood pressure pills, but is he going to listen to me about the oil and stuff? No. Yeah. The answer is, I've never had a weight problem like you. So, okay, so why are you on it? That's, yeah. You know, thin people could be diabetic too.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Ann, for sharing that, and welcome. We're glad to have you from Michigan.
Yeah. Hey, I do have a question though. Did you start at 10?
We started at 7 o'clock this time, which might be 9 or 10 o'clock your time.
Okay, I thought it was 10. Did you just start?
We just started.
Yes.
Okay, because when I came on, you said people who have maybe joined later, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm late. You know?
No, you're right on time.
Okay.
You're
good,
right on
good.
time.
All right.
Okay, Dave and Cherie.
So, I just want your comments on this. I go in for my physical, July 3rd or something like that, a couple weeks. And I've been on cholesterol medicine for a long time. And they started me on blood pressure medicine a year and a half ago when I was, I've eaten the standard American diet and all of that. And I was well on my way to my 200 pounds at the time when I started my blood pressure medicine. But, now I'm eating mostly plant-based as much as I can. And my weight's down to like 150. And I'm getting a lot of exercise. And so I was planning on telling them that I want to go off these medicines for 3 months and see what happens. Do you have any comments on that, or?
That's just what I would tell them.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to take medicine that I didn't have to take. And I don't know if you take blood pressure readings at home on your own. Have you checked them at all?
no, that was,
You can do
Doesn't-
that at a pharmacy. You could do that at one of the clinics sometimes, at your doctor's office. You can just kind of get a check and
Okay.
see what it's like. Are you getting lightheaded or dizzy at all throughout the day?
no. I had stomach pains. I was in the emergency room about a month and a half ago, but my blood pressure was good.
Yeah, so if your blood pressure's good, your doctor may say, well, we may not want to take you off take you off it completely, but let's try cutting it in half, see how you do, make sure it doesn't go up and taper you down. And that is reasonable for certain medicines like beta blockers for sure, and potentially other medicines to kind of taper down from those medicines. So yeah, this is something that if you're feeling well, you've lost weight, you're feeling good, your blood pressure is doing fine, tapering back seems like a very reasonable choice.
Okay,
It's surely worth a discussion with your doctor. And if
Yeah.
your doctor's not interested in that kind of discussion, then get a second opinion. And see what the second opinion has to say.
yeah, I'm pretty much thinking I want to just taper off of them and see what happens. And then if I need to go back on, I'll go back on.
Well, that's the argument that you give to the doctor. And I suspect most doctors these days will say, okay, that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Unless they have some other argument, I don't know. You'll see what they say and you'll bring it up in class then, or get in touch with us and we'll try to share our, what we would potentially, how to maneuver your way through the healthcare system as it stands right now. We try to help people do that.
Yeah,
We're not actually telling you what to do.
I'm pretty stubborn. I pretty much decided to do it. So.
Okay.
And-
Sounds
and a
like
lot-
you're gonna have no problem.
And a lot of
Yes.
times the cholesterol numbers go up quite a bit when you stop the medication. So kind of sometimes providers kind of freak out because you get a similar drop in cholesterol with the whole food plant-based diet if you're doing it completely, that you would get on a moderate dose statin. So it's similar. So it's not better, it's just similar. But yeah, but the difference that a lot of providers don't think about is, well, lowering it with diet and lifestyle, you're reversing the causation, whereas you lower it with the statin, you're just lowering the number. And you're decreasing the risk slightly, but not to the same level that you're lowering it with the diet and lifestyle changes. So but a lot of times providers, they don't really understand that because they just look at, okay, they plug you into because I do it too. We plug a patient into a risk calculator. So there, from the American College of Cardiology, you can put in, you know, your sex, your age, your whether you have high blood pressure or not, if you're on medication, what your total cholesterol is, and what your HDL is, and whether you have diabetes or not, whether you smoke or not. There's all these risk factors, and if it spits out a number that's greater than 7.5%, which is 10-year, what's the risk of you having a heart attack or stroke in the next 10 years? And if it's greater than 7.5%, we're all schooled to have that patient on a statin, no matter what their cholesterol number is. So it's kind of a, you know, that's tough, because you have to remember that that data that plugs into that calculator, that's assuming you're eating the standard American diet. That's where the data comes from, is people eating the standard American diet. So it doesn't take into context that you're eating a whole food plant-based diet and all that. So that's why, yeah, you get this number, but then hopefully your provider will listen to you and be able to say, well, what's your real risk here? Make sure he understands what your diet is like and your exercises and all that, and hopefully support you, and maybe at least trying to decrease the medication, even the statin, maybe go to a half dose and see what happens. And he can still plug you into the calculator and see where you're at. But a lot of it's also due to your age. And so you might be above 7.5% just because of your age. And then there's nothing you can do about that, obviously. But anyway.
Well, I thought I'd go in and let them measure everything, and then, you know, have a baseline of where I am now. And then in 3 months, measure it again and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable. The other thing you can discuss with your doctor is the number needed to treat, number needed to harm. You can do a Google search for number needed to treat for the medication you're on. If it's a cholesterol lowering medicine, you may be surprised to learn, you can see this on a Gregor video, but you could also just do a Google search, number needed to treat, and put in the name of the statin. And you'll find that if you've not had a heart attack or stroke previously, have you had a heart attack or stroke previously?
No.
If you haven't, the number needed to save one heart attack or stroke, you have to treat 104 people for 5 years to prevent one stroke or heart attack.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for the other 103 people? Do they get any benefit?
No.
Could they be suffering some side effects? And that's another issue, number needed to harm. You might want to look at that, see what that is, and then discuss that with your doctor and say, you know, am I going to be this one person in 104 that's going to actually benefit? How do we know that? And do I want to risk the side effects connected with the medication?
Yeah.
Okay, just a thought. I didn't mean to confuse you. I just, you know, it's hard not to speak up and share some of these things, especially when we have med students here. Marcia.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, David and Sherry. So Marcia.
You're muted, Marcia.
Hi.
Okay.
Hey,
Or
there
is
you
it the
go.
other Marcia?
Yeah, it's the Marcia Berlin.
Okay.
In 2017, my right hand swelled up. I knew it was arthritis. I don't know how come I knew it was, but I went to Google and I asked what causes inflammation in the body. It took me to Dr. Neil Bernard, and he said, don't eat meat, dairy, or oil. Oh, okay. Well, I fumbled around, but I found some different things. Jump forward to last week when I went to my doctor who has Parkinson's. I gave her a Forks Over Knife magazine, but I asked her the question, if I had come to you in 2017 when my hand swelled up, you would have given me a pill. Yes, I would have given you a pill. And I thought, you know, the difference between Google and a doctor, I don't know. The reason I come to these classes is because I love being around people that eat whole food, plant-based. And in my town of 45 people, they're all sick. And, you know, I like to come here and hear what you have to say.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's powerful story, actually.
It is. Yeah.
How true about the doctor writing for the pill?
Oh. They would be quick to do a pill, but they wouldn't look at a whole food plant-based diet. So I gave her this magazine so she could see where I'm coming from. And, you know, they've always got snippets of information in the whole food or in the Forks Over Knife magazine. So I hope that she will, you know, I don't know where she's at in her Parkinson's, but, you know, I just thought it would help her understand me better.
There's actually data to show that it has whole food plant-based diets have slowed the progression of Parkinson's in some people. So maybe her eyes will be opened up by seeing the benefits you've had.
Well, I think it's a good magazine to give people. I mean, it gives a whole array of recipes, and I don't know how she likes to eat. And I just know, you know, you just can't give a pill. You got to try something. The food, it's all what Dr. Clapper says, it's the food. It's always been the food.
Yes. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I don't know that we have any studies or data that Parkinson's is reversible. Someone put that in the chat. One of the theories is it's caused by pesticides, organophosphate poisoning, but it's neurodegenerative and yeah, I don't know of any studies that show reversal, but like Charlie said, there's some people that get slowing of the progression with a plant-based diet, but yeah.
And I agree with that. I haven't seen anything that has actually been reversed. Like heart disease or diabetes have been reversed, or obesity have been reversed.
Lupus, rheumatoid arthritis.
Keep going.
Psoriasis, chronic kidney disease.
Rashes, acne.
Alzheimer's, we don't know. There's a study going on right now by Dean Ornish, 5-year randomized controlled trial, seeing if they can reverse early stage Alzheimer's with a whole food plant-based diet and other healthy lifestyle, exercise, meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And I can talk more about that in a minute when I make an announcement about an opportunity for everybody.
I have a question.
Yes, Trouty.
Losartan, is that a beta blocker?
No, it's a angiotensin receptor blocker, so it works in the kidneys.
Angiotensin.
you don't need to remember angiotensin receptor blocker. We call them ARBs, but it's a. But you don't need to know. I mean, it's just it is a blood pressure medicine, but not a beta blocker. Works in the kidneys.
And what about amlodipine?
That's a calcium channel blocker, so that works in a different way. Works on the heart to lower blood pressure. It's also a blood pressure medication.
Calcium beta, no.
Calcium channel blocker. we're not going to test you, Trouty.
What?
We're not going to test you. You're not doing homework. You're not having to take notes.
What was angiotensin receptor? What was it?
Blocker.
Okay. Yeah, I like to know what I'm taking, and how much. Can I leave some of it off when I'm getting too low in my blood pressure?
Are you getting too low? How would you know?
Because I test it twice a day.
Okay, well, testing is one way to tell. If you're getting dizzy or lightheaded, that's another way.
No, I don't.
Okay. How low is your pressure getting?
To 100, 111.
That's pretty low. McDougall
low.
would say you probably should be kind of not being so aggressive with those blood pressure medicine.
Which one would?
Yeah, so you might want to have your doctor lower your dosages if you're having blood pressures that low. If you're below 120/80 on medication, that actually increases your risk of having problems. So it's something we call a J curve.
I'm always in the 70s. The second. So
time to see your doctor, Trouty.
I just went, but I had a food problem.
Time to have a talk with your doctor. You sit down and look your doctor in the face, he or she, and say, my blood pressure is a bit low, I think. Shouldn't I be taking a little less of this blood pressure medicine?
Well, it's on and off. It's up or down, 130, then 111, whatever, So it depends how much stress I have. When I'm time conscious of something, then my blood pressure goes up.
Yeah. Well, stress definitely can cause it to fluctuate, but if it's getting down that low, you're probably taking a bit much blood pressure medicine. So
But
have
I just leave it off for the evening.
talk to your doctor and have them adjust your medicine with you.
Okay, all right. Adjust.
We don't want your doctors getting ticked off at us we want to share the science, and we don't want them bad mouthing
I need to know what's
our
going on.
advice, like, kind of taking their job away from them, which we're sort of doing by getting you off of pills. The more pills we can get you off of, the less visits you're going to be making to your doctor. They may not like that so well.
Well, when it gets too low, I just take it off for the afternoon or so, And the next morning I check it, and if it gets up high, I take it again, So
Well, talk to your doctor about that and see whether that's how they want to be adjusting your medicine.
the amlodipine I'm only supposed to take when my blood pressure gets too high or I get dizzy. Other than that, no.
Okay.
And the losartan
well,
to take twice a day, 50 milligrams.
Well, you could come to the afternoon session and we could talk about your individual stuff, but in these evening sessions, we want to kind of keep it more general as to what to do about what. So who else has a question or suggestion or anything that they wish to ask or share with the group?
Should I talk about my opportunity now for everyone?
Sure, that would be a great time.
Sure. So I was mentioning Dr. Dean Ornish earlier, the 5-year randomized controlled trial he's doing on patients with early stage Alzheimer's. So the food that they're using in the study, there's a new group that makes whole food plant-based meals that they can ship out called Whole Harvest. And so they provide all the meals for Ornish. So it's Ornish approved, Esselstyn approved, and there's no oil. The salts meets the 1-to-1 rule by Jeff Novick, and it's really good. And so I sampled some of them because I had an opportunity to connect with them because I'm board certified in lifestyle medicine through the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. So I had an opportunity because they're networking with ACLM, and they're going to be at the conference in Denver, Colorado, and the Plantrition conference in September, and down in Palm Springs. So they're kind of a startup. And so they offered to provide to 10 of you 2 free meals to be shipped to you if you wanted to try them. So what I plan to do, I'll put everyone probably knows my email, but I'll put it in the chat just in case. Everyone that's interested in receiving 2 free meals, they'll ship them to you for free just to try them, see if you like them. Everyone email me that's interested, and then I'll draw 10 names out of a hat if we have more than 10 people, and then I'll send each of those people a link, and then the link you can sign up, and then they'll get back to you, and they'll ship you the meals for free, so you can try them out if you're interested. Yeah, I guess especially for people that maybe are newer to this, but anybody that's interested in trying it can. I put their I can share my screen. I put their website up on the class website. So let me pull it up here. It's always in the way here. What happened? Oh, here we go. That's the other. Let me go to. Why it's not. There we go. Our class website. So I have it under resources. So if you click on resources, scroll down, it's down at the bottom here. Just added it, Whole Harvest, 100% whole food plant-based meal delivery service. So here's the website, and you can check it out. So for people, there's a cost, of course, and they're a little bit more spending, similar to eating out, about $12, $13 for a meal. But there's plenty to eat. It was pretty filling. So some of you might get 2 meals out of it, depending on how hungry you are. But yeah, if you don't want to have to cook, and they ship them to you, and they're working on their packaging, it's just refrigerated, so you'd have to eat them within a week. But they're working on vacuum sealing their product in the near future, and then they'll be able to get more in a box, and you can actually freeze them if you want. And you can, I think the refrigerator life would be more closer to 2 weeks if once they get the vacuum seal. But so they're, I talked to the guy today, had a meeting with him, and it's really, really interesting. The 2 co-founders of the group, they have really interesting stories, inspirational stories. Like one of them had 2 different heart stents put in, and he was on a journey of plant-based nutrition. And so it was pretty inspiring to hear their stories, how they started this up. But so here's if you want to go on and try, meals, you can. But yeah, if you want to want the 2 free ones, with no, there's no cost, no catches, nothing like that. Just email me, and I can put the names in the hat and get you guys a couple free meals to try. All right, let me put my email in the chat. Carry on. Anyone else have any questions, comments? Or has anybody already tried them? Or was anybody at the potluck on this last Saturday? It was great. We had, actually, there's closer to 60 people there on further count. It's great.
The potluck this last Saturday was just wonderful. The food was magnificent. The groups, there were 3 different groups. One of them is Eugene Plant-Based Providers. That's the doctors, physician assistants, nurses, physical therapists, who else? Registered dietitians, who are involved in Eugene Plant-Based Providers. And then there were people from Eugene Veggies. That's a group by JJ. I can't remember her last name, but she does meetup and does various activities, cooking classes, and the potluck once a year. She kind of, I don't know if you have to rent that space or whatever, however she got it, to keep from someone else being there. It was cleared out. I don't know if they had to send people away, but there was plenty of room. And then there was another organization called ACE, and that was a husband and wife who are for animal caring in Eugene, who have their main emphasis on not harming animals. So that, sort of covers several, at least a couple of the reasons why you might choose to become whole food plant-based. One of them is for your individual health. The other is for the animal's sake. And of course, the third one, which may be the most important one, is the effect on global warming and our planet. That livestock is raising livestock for our food causes more global warming than all the transportation. A lot of people are not aware of that, but something to consider when you're making your personal food choices. So come to the potluck next year. If you didn't make it this year, it'll be fun.
We'll have more new movie nights coming up in the fall, winters, in the cold, dark, wet months. We'll do some more movie socials like we did this past spring, and we usually have snacks and stuff there. Maybe, I don't know, it might be too much to do a full potluck and the movie, but it was pretty close to a potluck on those 2 movie socials. So
it was.
So there's other opportunities for that. So, and there's a question in the chat about oil and heart disease. Do you want to take that, Charlie?
Let's see. I didn't see the chat.
Oh, it might have been, maybe it was a private one. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it was says, how does oil harm blood vessels and blood pressure? I know it's high in calories, but don't know answers to other questions. Thanks for explaining if possible.
Yeah, so I was always in the assumption that when you have a meal that's fat based, so to speak, the fat will either cause an inflammatory reaction, which causes your arteries to kind of constrict down a bit, raising your blood pressure, causing a bit of inflammation. And so the counter to that is eating dark green leafies. They produce nitric oxide, which causes your arteries to relax, lowering your blood pressure. So the exact mechanism by which oil causes this inflammation or this vasoconstriction, I'm not completely clear about. Maybe Scott, in some of your lectures that you heard, may understand it a bit better. But there's another effect of oil, and that causes a kind of a coating of the red blood cells, and it causes the cells to kind of stick together and causes a slowing or a sludging of the blood. And this sludging or slowing of the blood flow leads to decreased oxygenation. And maybe that decreased oxygenation is the underlying mechanism by which you develop this inflammation. Maybe the body reacts in a way that, I don't know exactly the cause, but I do know that that's what happens. And eating oils, the processed oils, they're really not health foods. So Scott, do you have something else to add?
Yeah, oil injures the endothelium. So it's kind of think of it as those endothelial cells are what make the nitric oxide and help your arteries to dilate and blood to flow smoothly. So you can watch the full lecture of Dr. Esselstyn on the class website under videos. The one I showed a little bit of his lecture from at the heart disease class a couple weeks ago. It explains it better in his full lecture, but it causes destruction of those endothelial cells, and so then you don't make as much nitric oxide, and then the inflammation and sludging of the blood and everything like Charlie was talking about. So kind of think of it as sugar cane is a plant, right? But then you turn it into a white crystalline powder, and it causes inflammation because it's just a highly processed food. Well, it's the same thing with oil. You took olives, I think it's something like 14 olives to make a tablespoon of olive oil or something like that. So you took a healthy olive, which has water and fiber and nutrients and everything in a nice package, a nice matrix. You eat that, even though it's still fairly high in fat, it's a whole food. Whereas if you squeeze all the fat out of the olives and make it into a refined oil, now you have a processed food. And so that has a completely different effect on the body than if you just ate the olives. Or you ate corn, if you're going to eat corn oil, or coconut and make coconut oil, or avocado and make avocado oil. You're just better off eating the avocado or the coconut or the olive or the seed, not the actual processed food. So it's just the fat equivalent of processed food, comparing it to sugar, for example. So you try to avoid it, and it's the highest in calorie density, 4,000 calories a pound. 125 calories per tablespoon. So there's more calories in a tablespoon of olive oil than in a whole pound of vegetables. So if you're trying to lose weight, it's not helpful.
Someone has a question, does cooking dark greens reduce the fiber? And cooking dark greens does not reduce the fiber. The fiber gets reduced when you do juicing, run vegetables through a juicer and leave the fiber behind and just drink the juice. So that's not something we would recommend. But cooking some dark greens may reduce some of the nutrients. Like, for example, if you consider broccoli close to one of the dark greens, you will reduce the amount of sulforaphane, which is kind of anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, unless you have chopped up this broccoli and allowed it to sit on your counter for about 45 minutes to produce the sulforaphane, you want to be careful about cooking it, or you want to add a sprig of fresh broccoli if you're eating the cooked broccoli. And
A pinch of mustard.
or a pinch of mustard powder. Yes. And that has the enzyme which gets destroyed in the cooking process. So garlic is another thing that can have its the reduced things. Is raw broccoli a problem for thyroid patients? You know, you'd have to eat an awful lot of raw broccoli to become a problem. If you're eating huge amounts of broccoli, supposedly you can suppress your thyroid function a bit. But if you're eating a cup or less of broccoli a day, I don't think that that's going to be harmful for you. You know,
I've
you
never,
see,
I say in 18 years, I've never seen a patient suppress their thyroid from cruciferous vegetables. So I don't think it's a problem.
I haven't either. It's one of those kind of myths we live under, but I suppose if you ate enough of it, perhaps that could be a problem. But, you know, most people are not eating that much. Yeah, you heard that. There's a number of things we hear, which makes this very confusing. And that's why we have these classes to kind of discuss it and have a, you know, a discussion on your questions and answer. Anybody else? I'm going to go back to the gallery view and see if we can.
Charlie, I have to say something. This is really good tonight.
Oh, okay. Trouty, we're happy that you're having fun. We do want these classes to be fun. So Marcia, you've unmuted, and then Edward will be next.
Okay, did I hear right that raw broccoli is better than cooked broccoli unless you leave it, let it sit out for a while?
Yeah, so what you heard is if you take broccoli and you throw it, you dump it into the cooker, or you're boiling it or whatever it is, and you cook it, then if you lightly steam it, you're probably okay. But if you're really cooking the heck out of the broccoli, you're destroying an enzyme, which this enzyme allows a reaction to occur that produces sulforaphane, which is an anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer kind of compound. So if you just want to eat cooked broccoli, add a pinch of mustard powder, which is what Scott recommended. It has the enzyme that you've just destroyed in the cooking process. If you put it on the broccoli, or you put it on the plate and you eat it with the broccoli, in your stomach, that enzyme will work with the broccoli as it's being digested, and you'll get the sulforaphane.
Oh, okay, all righty, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Edward.
Scott mentioned something about olives, and that got my head going. I really like olives, but I tend to not eat them because they're usually packed in some sort of brine, and it's incredibly salty. Do you know if they sell olives that are not in brine? And if that is a thing, then are they any like, are they healthy or like not?
Yeah, I don't eat a lot of olives myself, but I believe you can get low salt canned olives, I think. And then even then you could just rinse them off and probably get rid of most of the salt. But yeah, good point. Like if you go to those Italian bars where they have all the different kinds of olives and the brines and the vinegars and stuff, they tend to be super salty. So yeah, good point, Ed. I want to be careful on that, especially if you have high blood pressure or kidney disease.
And they're probably a little high in fat.
Yeah, very high in fat. But the point is making is it's better to eat the food than the oil it comes from. Yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You'd have to eat an awful lot of olives though, to get too much fat. You know, they do have a high content. Where does olive oil come from? The oils, but you know, or from the olives. Okay, Susan.
Yeah, I by the way, that I wanted to go to that potluck, but I couldn't put any weight on one of my legs, and it just happened during the night before, and then it gradually went away. Anyway, but that's what I want to, I mean, it's okay now, but that's what I want to ask you about. Do you know of any kinds of foods that are good for your joints? Like if you're having problems, like I had there, and you know, a little hard to go up the stairs. I've seen a physical therapist a couple times. Today I went to, and he recommended that I go to Costco and buy some plant-based protein powder, eat more protein, to get more protein in my system. He asked me what I ate for protein. I said, well, there's protein in everything, but you know, I started listing what I eat for protein. I don't think too much about protein, but he did mention the amino acids, that you have to have all of those. Well, I think that's been debunked, that you need to like eat them in the same meal and stuff like that. But anyway, so what do you think about protein powders? And he said it's just like mostly chia seeds and things like that. I don't know, pea protein or something. I haven't looked at the ingredients, but is there something one can do nutritionally? I don't remember like reading about that kind of thing, coming across that before. I mean, MSM, what do you think of MSM? Do you know anything about it? It's not
I'm
your
not
line.
sure what MSM is.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
But I will tell you this. I'll start and then Scott chime in, whatever. I'm going to start first of all with, how do you recover from an injury? And you look at the studies, and you can watch Game Changers. You can, you know, review some of the things. What are they doing? They're eating a plant-based diet, which is a non-inflammatory diet. They are eating berries like blueberries, dark cherries. They're eating fruits and veggies that are allowing their body an improved recovery time, allowing them to heal faster and be healthier. The protein, I'm going to let Scott deal with that, because it just is, we've heard this so many times, and you know, you get enough protein, and it makes no sense whatsoever that protein would make any difference at all about whether you're able to walk or not. That's so bogus in my mind. Scott, I can't talk anymore.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like your goal was to decrease inflammation. Is that right? You're trying to reduce inflammation. Is that your goal?
Yeah. Oh, it could be bursitis. So I don't know if that's.
Yeah. So which would be an inflammatory condition. So yeah, you're trying to be as anti-inflammatory as possible. So that would be, like Charlie said, a whole food plant-based diet, all whole plant foods. So no animal products, no processed foods, no refined sugars and flours and oils, all whole plant foods. So, and then you could add turmeric, the spice turmeric, up to a half a teaspoon with a pinch of black pepper, because that's also anti-inflammatory. So you could do that. And then, so that's, you know, what you want to do when it comes to reducing inflammation. Now, protein, you know, adding protein is really, if you're having a hard time getting enough calories, like a lot of times you'll hear doctors say, well, if you're trying to heal, like from a surgery or something, they always focus on protein, which, you know, it's like, well, if you're calorie deficient, then you could be potentially protein deficient. So somebody that's you know, in a nursing home and is really frail and is not getting out and moving around, they've lost a lot of muscle, they have what we call sarcopenia, they're not eating very much, then yeah, giving like a smoothie with some pea protein powder, something like that might be necessary because you're not getting enough, that person's not getting enough calories. But if you're eating a wide variety of whole plant foods, potatoes, sweet potatoes, beans, attacked whole grains, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, whole food plant-based diet, not only are you getting enough protein, you're also getting all of the amino acids. And that is the myth that you actually only plants have all of the essential amino acids. The only two foods that don't have all their amino acids are animal products. They're albumin, which is the whites of an egg, and gelatin, both, which is also made from animals. So the whites of a white of an egg and gelatin are the only two foods that don't have all the amino acids. Every plant food has all the amino acids in various amounts, and you don't have to do protein combining or anything either. That's a myth that was debunked decades ago. So, but you know, people just have misinformation is the problem.
Yeah. I told him I'd try it. He's wanted me to try it for 3 to 4 weeks. He says, "Oh, what can it hurt?" Anyway, I just wanted your take on that. So, okay, that's your take. I'm sorry, Scott. I know you don't like to talk.
No, I love those questions. I get passionate about it, but I love those questions because it might be the first time someone else has heard it. Even though there's probably a lot of people in the class that have maybe heard it 20 times, but there's people that are hearing it for the first time. So it's a great question to have.
Yep. And the turmeric is really a great suggestion. You could start with a 1/4 teaspoon a day. You can go to a half, you can go to a full teaspoon, but that would be really the best anti-inflammatory spice that you could, use.
One of the stores that I shop at often has whole turmeric, and you just grate it like you can with ginger. I would imagine that's probably even better just because it's fresh as far as more healing. But
and while we're on myths, there was another question in the chat about soy. What's the myth about soy? And that's also a myth, and that was actually over 12 years ago that was debunked. And so the thought was, because what happened was about 12 years ago and beyond, there were some studies that they did on rats that when they gave them more soy, they had breast cancer tumors in their breasts. When they gave them more soy, the phytoestrogens in the soy actually increased their breast cancer growth. So then they said, okay, we can't, people with breast cancer shouldn't eat soy. That's where that came from. And so then when they did more, but this is what kind of made us feel like, well, that's kind of interesting, because in Asian countries where they eat a lot of soy, they have some of the lowest rates of breast cancer in the world. So Asian women that are eating a standard traditional Asian diet, so rice, vegetables, and soy products, is predominantly what they're eating over there until the last 40 years. Now they've kind of westernized their diet, unfortunately, but they have some of the lowest rates of breast cancer. So it didn't really make sense. And so then they started doing better studies on soy and breast cancer. And what they found was, well, we're not rats, for one. And two, they found out there was 2 different receptors. There's an alpha receptor and a beta receptor for phytoestrogen. So phyto means plant, estrogen is estrogen. So the plant estrogen is phytoestrogen in soy. And so we have 2 receptors, alpha and beta, and it just so happens that the alpha receptors are in the places that you want the phytoestrogens, like in your bones and your blood vessels, things like that. And it actually has more, it stimulates the alpha receptor, but it blocks the beta receptor. And the beta receptor is the receptors that are in the breast tissue, and like places like that, or in other organs where you don't want the effects of estrogen. It actually blocks estrogen in those tissues. So it actually reduces the risk of breast cancer to eat soy. So that came out about 12 years ago now. And so if any doctor is still saying, oh, avoid soy because of breast cancer, that means they haven't kept up with the science in the last 12 years. But now you're informed.
Okay, anybody else? Have any questions or thoughts they are sitting on the sidelines with? Don't be shy.
Charlie, when is your afternoon session? What
The
time?
afternoon session starts at 2 o'clock every Tuesday. It goes till about 3:15 now. So we have an hour and 15-minute session. And it's a
3:15.
small group right now. It's anywhere from 7 to 9 people.
Is it the
Who-
same, is it the same,
Same
what I-
link.
the same link?
Yeah, the same Zoom link.
Okay,
And so we don't record those sessions. We just kind of talk and chat, and people can be a little freer about discussing their personal issues.
sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Someone said, I heard you're supposed to take vitamin D with vitamin K. What are your thoughts? And are there any brands of supplements that are better than others?
Dr. Greger
Uh,
has videos on vitamin K, and it ends up we don't need it. Our body makes all that we need, and it even turns K1 to K2 by the gut microbiome when we eat whole plant foods. So vitamin K is not necessary. You get plenty of vitamin K from the plant foods you're eating.
Another
then,
myth busted.
Right. And then someone, I
Okay.
don't know anything about this. An earlier question said magnesium and vitamin D. Do you need magnesium to absorb vitamin D?
Not that I'm aware of.
Me either. Plus, you're
Are there
going
any
to get
brands of
magnesium in plants.
supplements that are better than others? And with that, I need to play you a video. I just have to do it, Scott.
Okay.
All right, one video. I can't hardly stand it if I can't share a video. But I shared this with the afternoon class. And I gotta see if I can find it here on supplements. It's a video. Where is the supplement video that I shared? How to treat finding health, favorite videos. Okay, maybe I'm gonna go to nutritionfacts.org. I gotta go there. Nutritionfacts.org, and we're gonna go do a search on supplements and see if the supplement thing. Are weight loss supplements safe and effective? I think that's what the one I was doing. Let's see. Race, Delusion, hair growth. All right, let's look at the supplements here. It's the one that he just sent June 9th. Are weight loss supplements safe and effective? Here we go. Let's see.
In this video, I look into weight loss supplements. If you're interested more in weight loss, look no further than my book, How Not to Diet, and of course, lots of videos. If you go to nutritionfacts.org and just type in weight loss in the search bar, you can watch to your heart's content. According to a national survey, a third of adults who've made serious attempts at weight loss have tried using dietary supplements, for which Americans spend literally billions of dollars every year. Most mistakenly thought that over-the-counter appetite suppressants, herbal products, and weight loss supplements had to be approved for safety by some governmental agency like the FDA before being sold to the public, or at least include some kind of warning on the label about potential side effects. Nearly half even thought they had to demonstrate some sort of effectiveness. None of that is true. The Food and Drug Administration estimates that dietary supplements in general cause 50,000 adverse events annually, most commonly liver and kidney damage. Of course, prescription drugs don't just adversely affect, but kill more than 100,000 Americans every year, but at least you notionally have the opportunity to parse out the risks versus benefits thanks to testing and monitoring requirements, typically involving thousands of individuals. When the manufacturer of the ephedrine-containing supplement Metabolife 356 had it tested on just 35 people, only minor side effects were found, such as dry mouth, insomnia, and headaches. However, once unleashed on the populace, nearly 15,000 adverse effects were reported before it was pulled from the market, including heart attacks, strokes, seizures, and deaths. Given the lack of government oversight, there's no guarantee that what's on the label is even in the bottle. FDA inspectors have found 70% of supplement manufacturers violated so-called good manufacturing practices, which are considered the minimum quality standards. This includes things like basic sanitation and ingredient identification, not 7% in violation, 70%. DNA testing of herbal supplements across North America found that most could not be authenticated. In 68% of the supplements tested, the main labeled ingredient was missing completely and substituted for something else. For example, a quote-unquote St. John's wort supplement contained nothing but senna, a laxative that can cause anal blistering. Only 2 out of 12 supplement companies had products that were accurately labeled. This problem isn't limited to just fly-by-night phonies in some dark corner of the internet. The New York State Attorney General commissioned DNA testing of 78 bottles of commercial herbal supplements sold by Walgreens, Walmart, Target, GNC. 4 out of 5 bottles didn't contain any of the herbs on their labels. Instead, capsules were often little more than cheap fillers like powdered rice and houseplants. In my last video, I noted that one investigation found 4 out of 5 bottles of commercial herbal supplements bought at major retailers didn't contain any of the herbs on their labels, instead often containing little more than cheap fillers like powdered rice and houseplants. At least you hope it just contains houseplants. Weight loss supplements are infamous for being adulterated with drugs. In a sampling of 160 weight loss supplements that claimed to be 100% natural, more than half were tainted with drugs, active pharmacological ingredients, ranging from antidepressants like Prozac to erectile dysfunction meds like Viagra. Diuretic drugs are frequent contaminants, which makes sense. In my keto videos, I talk about rapid water loss as the billion-dollar gimmick that has sold low-carb diets for more than a century, but why the Viagra? At least the spiked Viagra and Prozac are drugs that are legal. Researchers in Denver tested every weight loss supplement they could find within a 10-mile radius, and alarmingly found a third were adulterated with banned ingredients. The most common illegal adulterant of weight loss supplements is sibutramine, which was sold as Meridia before it was yanked off the market back in 2010 for heart attacks and stroke risk, now also blamed for cases of slimming supplement-induced psychosis. An analysis of weight loss supplements bought off the internet, advertised with claims such as purely natural, harmless, or traditional herbal, found that a third contained high-dose banned sibutramine and the rest contained caffeine. Wouldn't you be able to tell if caffeine was added to a supplement? Perhaps not, if it also had temazepam added, a controlled substance benzodiazepine downer sedative found in half of the caffeine-tainted supplements. Doesn't the FDA demand recalls of adulterated supplements? Yeah, but they just pop right back on store shelves. 27 supplements purchased at least 6 months after the recalls were released, and 2/3 still contained banned substances. 17 out of the 27 with the same pharmaceutical adulterant found originally, and 6 containing 1 or more additional banned ingredients. Aren't the manufacturers penalized for non-compliance? Yes, but fines for violations are small compared to the profits. One of the ways supplement makers can skirt the law is by labeling them as not intended for human consumption. For example, labeling the fatal fat burner DNP as an industrial or research chemical. That's like how designer street drugs can be sold openly at gas stations and convenience stores as bath salts. Another way is to claim synthetic stimulants added to slimming supplements are actually natural food constituents, like listing the designer drug dimethylamine as geranium oil extract. The FDA banned it in 2012 after it was determined that DMAA was not found in geraniums. And who eats geraniums anyway? Despite being tentatively tied to cases of sudden death and hemorrhagic stroke, DMAA has continued to be found in weight loss supplements with innocuous names like Simply Skinny Pollen made by BeFit with Trish. There's little doubt that certain banned supplements like ephedra could help people lose weight. There's only one problem, wrote a founding member of the American Board of Integrative Medicine. This supplement may kill you. Are there any safe and effective dietary supplements for weight loss? When popular slimming supplements were put to the test in a randomized, placebo-controlled trial, not a single one could beat out sugar pills. A systematic review of systematic reviews of diet pills came to a similar conclusion. None appear to generate appreciable impacts on body weight without undue risks. That was the conclusion reached in a similar review out of the Weight Management Center at Johns Hopkins recently, which ended with this. It is fitting to highlight that perhaps the most general and safest alternative herbal approach to weight control is to substitute low-calorie density foods for high-calorie density in processed foods, thereby reducing total calorie intake. In other words, more whole plant foods and fewer animal foods and junk. By taking advantage of the low-calorie density and health-promoting effects of plant-based foods, one may be able to achieve weight loss or at least assist weight maintenance without cutting down on the volume of food consumed or compromising its nutrient value.
Okay, we're done with that. For those of you who are stuck on needing to have a supplement, you may be thinking twice before you go out and buy. So it's hard to, when you say, what are the brands of supplements that are better than others? After listening to that, would you be kind of reluctant to recommend a supplement to someone? I am. I'm reluctant.
Yeah, I guess I take my B12 and then get my blood levels checked, and as long as they're good, I guess it must have B12 in it.
There you go. Okay, anybody else? You've had time to think about this. We have just a few more minutes to share together for tonight.
Next week, you're doing the magic of fiber.
Oh, the magic of fiber. That's a favorite for sure, about the microbiome and the kind of bacteria that we can, populate our colon with. And it's a very fun, interesting one. I've always enjoyed that. Anybody else want to share anything or have a question about anything? What you're choosing to eat, Dave and Cherie?
Yeah, Sheree was wondering about the vitamin D we get. Do we have to worry about that? Or?
Well, I heard you say you were reluctant to recommend one, but so the vitamin D and the B12, I don't know where are we supposed to go for that,
So I can share with you what I actually buy. Do I know what's in it? No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't know. I have to go downstairs and grab it. But I'll be happy to do that for you.
That would help us. Yeah.
All right. If it would help you, Scott, you can take over. I'm going to run down. I'll be right back up with what I.
Yeah, I guess it's once you get your vitamin D level checked, I guess, although it's hard to get insurance to cover that these days unless you have history of deficiency. But yeah, if you're taking a D3 supplement, you want your 2,000 international units a day, especially in the winter months. Maybe not quite as important in the summer months if you're getting outside and getting some sunshine. But if your levels are good, then it's obviously got vitamin D in it, so it's keeping your levels up.
It seems like you're kind of hit and missing as to which, if all of the supplements aren't really regulated and all this. I mean, there's a Walmart brand just as good as a Whole Foods Market brand, or
Right.
Are they both?
Yeah, it's all unregulated, so you just hope. Yeah, they'll put the things on the label. I usually get ones that say, "Oh, it was laboratory tested," but I don't know how rigorous that is, or
people,
or if they. Well, just it says authenticated, that they've tested it to say it has what the label says it has in it. But I don't know if you can believe that or not. It's just isn't very reassuring when they actually test those things in a 10-mile radius and half of them don't actually have what they say is in it. So yeah, I guess like you try to trust a brand, and if you're getting good results, like, oh yeah, my B12's is up and it's good, and my vitamin D's up and it's good, and or your iodine, if you happen to take that because you don't eat enough sea vegetables, then its levels are good, then it's probably fine. But yeah, it can be a kind of a crapshoot there.
So I went down and I found a couple of the two supplements that I take.
Okay.
One is by Twin Lab. It's B12 dots. Twin Lab. Do I know what's in it? No. Have I been using this for literally years? Yeah, and I'm still alive, so I kind of trust the brand. It's called Twin Lab B12 dots. It's 500 micrograms, and I take 2 of them a day because I'm 65 years of age. Actually, I'm almost 75, but anyone over 65 should be taking 1,000 micrograms a day. And if you're under 65, you could get by with 2,000 micrograms, which would be 4 of these once a week. So under 65, you only need 2,000 micrograms once a week. And that's of cyanocobalamin. So that's what this Twin Lab B12 dots are. They melt in my mouth.
Okay.
Okay. Then the other one is my wife liked this Nature Made. I don't know why. It sounds good.
I think that's the Walmart one. Isn't it?
Yeah, I use Nature
They
Made too,
sell it
Charlie.
there,
Yeah.
Scott uses it. Okay, that's probably
Oh,
why.
well,
Yeah.
Scott uses it.
And
Okay.
it's D3 and it's 2,000 international units. We use that.
That's what they.
There you go.
Yeah,
Same
there you
one.
go. We use
Okay.
that in winter and spring and fall, and in summer if we're getting enough sun, then we may not use it for a day or two, but usually I use it because we usually cover up with clothes. So that's the only recommendation that I could share, and I can't vouch that they're actually reliable. But
Thank you.
you're welcome. That
So
was fun.
the D3,
Yeah.
this says take 1 of the 1,000 units. Are you saying take 2?
That's what Dr. Greger recommends. 1 or 2 is probably fine. Dr. McDougall says don't take vitamin D3. Get out in the sun. Well, I don't know. He was living in California, and I think he still says that. But
He's in Portland
Hawaii
now
for a while. But he's in Portland, so I don't know if he's getting enough vitamin D if he doesn't take any.
No, you don't.
So 2,000, I would say. If you're going to take 1,000, I'd take 2,000 a day. Okay,
thank you.
Nancy.
Hi. So, yeah, I think those of us who are older and probably need to be really sure about our vitamins, there are things you can do. There are some good watchdog labs and groups. So that third-party testing and verification by somebody like consumerlabs.com or there are a lot of them. Another way is one brand I use called Thorn. They absolutely do the third-party testing on that because it has to be certified for sport. And so they look for adulterants and everything the athletes take. So that they can be sure that it's an honest product. So it takes a bit of work, but we elderly want to take that extra step because it feels important, especially with the D3. I'm not outside in the sun,
Yeah.
I don't like to be hot. I don't go sunbathing, and we live in Oregon. So yeah, anyway, just my 2 cents. It's a little work, but if you're going to take supplements, worth the extra effort to make sure that there are a whole lot of people watching and testing that don't have a profit motive.
Thank
and
you.
they're out there.
But for
Okay,
the most part, the theme though is, except for the few things we discussed in class, you want to get all your nutrients from your whole plant foods, not from supplements, because many supplements can be harmful, actually increase risk of cancer and other harmful effects. So you want to get your nutrients from your food for 99% of of them, and you can get enough of everything. Just those few things, the D3, the B12, maybe iodine. Those are kind of those
right,
are the issues.
yes, that principle, of course, still stands. I wasn't disputing that in any way, but, you know, that's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else?
Well, if
Hi,
somebody,
Susan, are you talking or someone else?
yeah,
Let's see.
I'm talking. I just
Okay.
wanted to throw out that that brand, My Kind, it had, you know, it has the spray B12. It tastes really good too. It's berry flavored, but it was started by Alicia Silverstone, who, you know, is plant-based, and it started out being called Kind, I guess, because kind to animals or something, and then for some reason it changed to My Kind. And from what I've seen, because I don't know, partly because she's plant-based, she's a famous actress. At least you know that it doesn't have any animal derivatives or anything in it like that. I feel that that's pretty good, and also it goes under your tongue, so you don't have to worry about it maybe not getting into your system. Like sometimes, I think I at one time wasn't getting the B12 into my system because I was eating the tablets or just swallowing the tablets. And a naturopath that I was going to then said that she didn't think that it got absorbed by my body. And she recommended to me to get those like dots or a spray anyway that can be more easily assimilated by the body. I just
Yeah.
wanted to say that.
Susan, that's exactly the B12 I use.
Oh.
Yeah, it's wonderful. In fact, all of their products are totally plant-based, and yeah, very carefully constructed. So anyway, just an interesting coincidence.
Yeah, I'm glad that you agree with me. It gives me some credence.
That's great. We like that about these classes. You can kind of share things together, and that's great. Okay, who else? Remember, this was a week that we didn't have, it's called open forum. That means that there isn't a particular topic of discussion, that it's just a question and answer period of time for people to express themselves and get their questions answered. Next week will be an evidence-based session where we play videos, and we do allow for questions, but we don't have nearly as much time as this week. And Scott has tried to arrange this so that we have usually we took a vote, and the group wanted to do 2 or 3 sessions where there was some educational lecture or videos, and that maybe once a month or every 3 weeks or so, we would have a session which just had a question and answer session. For those of you who are wondering, why is it that we're taking all these questions as opposed to playing more videos and that sort of thing? And I kind of bust the rule occasionally because I can't hardly stand not playing one video from Gregor or someone. I don't know, it's become an obsession with me. I may have to lay down on the couch and meditate on that a little bit.
Just watch a whole bunch of them before you come on, kind of turn down the
Yeah, can you get Gregor a little bit slower? Can you slow it down a
I don't
little?
know, he's a hard one to chase after, sometimes he does it at the right speed and other times he's a little bit fast, I get that.
It goes by me sometimes. I don't pick it up enough.
Yeah, it goes by me sometimes too, but all in all, most of the time he's
Okay.
fun to listen to, and
I like the books because then I can slow down with it, but the videos, they go too fast.
that's why we record these sessions so that you can go back and you can play it at a little slower speed or rewind it, whatever. You could do like the med students. It's not fast enough, so they speed everything up to 1.5 times or whatever it is, so they can get through their lectures more quickly. It's a strategy that works.
Okay.
And I think I might have a few more slots left for the 2 free meals. So email me at scott@aol.com if you want to be sent 2 free meals, plant-based meals. Just
I do.
Well, send me an email to have
An
it all.
email to Scott. It's in the chat room.
So my email is also on the website under about us. So it's just Scott, SEW Scott, SCOTT at AOL.com.
For those people who are living in the Eugene area, this Saturday, we have an event that Scott's organized. It's a walk with the Eugene plant-based providers. And it's going to be at South Eugene High School at 11 o'clock. We're going to walk around the track and we're going to just chat and answer questions. You've just answered questions and maybe there won't be any questions. But aside from Scott and myself being there, we're going to also have Lisa Chick, the medical student from Pomona. She's coming up to spend a few days up here in Oregon, and she's going to eat breakfast at our house, and then we're going to go out. I think she's here with her boyfriend, and they'll be walking tomorrow if anyone wants to meet Lisa Chick up
Saturday.
Close and personal. Not tomorrow, Saturday.
Saturday at 11 a.m. and all the details are on the Eugene Plant-Based Provider website. It's just eugeneplantbasedproviders.com under upcoming events. It's also in the link to that upcoming events site is always in the class email every Sunday also. If you're not on the email that you get from the class, Live Lifestyle Medicine, you can sign up for the class newsletter on the homepage of that website if you're not already.
Okay, so I'm going to ask one last question for anybody who wants to answer. Is there one video that you could think of if someone were, or one resource, a book, a lecture you've seen, anything, what would you recommend if someone were thinking about transitioning their diet from a standard American diet to whole food? Just anybody have a thought on that? One resource.
Well, I can tell you some people that I know, a couple, they went plant-based after watching Game Changers, the video Game Changers.
Excellent idea. And if you haven't watched it, we recommend that everybody watch the Game Changers. I think it's free on Netflix. Yeah, maybe still.
The link to it's also on the Eugene Plant-Based Provider website. It's also on there.
Thank you for that. Does anybody else have any other resource that they wish to share with someone, or have shared with someone that you've noticed has potentially helped them, or that you might have seen in the class or whatever it might be?
It's McGregor's book, Never Die, or something like that.
So Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die.
Exactly.
Okay.
I read it. And somebody let me read theirs, and I ordered it, And from that, other people got into the lecture here.
Great. Trouty, thank you for sharing that. That's what convinced my son, after several years of me trying to convince him unsuccessfully, that this was something important for him to do.
Yeah.
One last person for one last resource.
It's also John Robbins' Diet for a New America. Someone put in the chat. That's a good one.
It's an excellent one. John Robbins has been a really dynamic force and has really helped a lot of people. They have Food Revolution now for free for people. And then, of course, I don't know, it's $69 for the whole lecture series. It's a wonderful series. And
What is the title of the book?
Diet for a New America.
What is it?
Diet for a New America. And
yes, Dr. McDougall is doing a series right now that he says it's what he would tell his patients if he were, able to. And so he's putting them in with diagrams and PowerPoints and everything. And I like the way he's doing it because he focuses on a certain area. And if you were to go to his site, you'd be able to type in what you're looking for, or even just YouTube. And you can find his lecture series, and I think they're pretty good. And I've recommended them to some friends when I knew they had problems.
okay, he has a Sunday series on YouTube, which is live, and he has his website, www.drmcdougall.com, and you could find them there, I imagine.
Yeah, he's been interviewing with Chef AJ too. And I like the one that you're saying that he and his wife, Mary, do together too. That's a good one. He's been doing like a monthly thing, I think it is, on Chef AJ's things, Monday with McDougall's or something like that. And but all of it's on his site. You can find his lectures on this site. And I just think it's really, he did one on diabetes, and he does on different things that people are looking for. And I think that's what a lot of people who are drawn to this way of eating, sometimes it takes to the point where they're looking for a really, really good reason to be there. And for some of us, we're lucky enough to get there a little sooner. So
thank you for sharing that. The reason I asked that question, of course, is because we have Kalyani here. And I just wanted her to hear how powerful it can be by just being able to share one resource to a patient or to a friend or relative or someone you just meet. It can have a huge impact without having to go into a huge explanation. Anyway, I'm grateful for all of you people. Scott and I are both grateful, I'm sure. We love coming here and spending some time with you. We've kind of gone through another quick hour and a half, hard to believe. And we look forward to seeing you back again whenever you're able to make it. And if you can't make it, you can go to the archive sessions. And Scott, if you have anything else, if not, we'll say good night.
Yeah, good night, everyone. Hope I can see many of you at the walk on Saturday at 11 at South Eugene High School track. It'll be great.
See you then.
And all speeds are welcome. We've had people with walkers and wheelchairs and
Nice.
don't have to, you can, all activity levels. It's more of a social event, but we move around. So, but yeah, don't be shy. Come on out.
Okay, everybody.
All
Take
right.
care.
Good night.
All right. Bye.